Depictions, stop it!
This is it! I love you!
Everybody's thinking about me, but I feel alright. Everybody's out to get me, but I feel alright.
And Christian Bale wanted me to mash it until it was bruised. Hello everyone, and welcome to a video about Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the game that, at last, asks the pertinent question, what if warfare was modern? And we have found out now, thanks to the latest game from Infinity Ward. It's got guns, it's got explosions, it's got atrocities that you perform, or watch, or have done to you, all rendered in lurid detail. This year's trip on the Call of Duty merry-go-round has a campaign, unlike last year, so I gave a modicum of a shit, and I played it. I gave the multiplayer a go for a little bit, but then remembered just how much I hate it, which is weird, because I never used to. When Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare came out, not Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern 4 Warfare 4 came out, I used to love playing that multiplayer, and then I played some of the others, like Black Ops. I played a lot of Black Ops multiplayer, but somewhere along the line, it got horrible. I think it's because it's mostly populated by people who do nothing but play Call of Duty, and it's become such its own subcultural thing. I can't get into it anymore because I do not have time to play nothing but Call of Duty. I've got to move on. It's strange because I'll drop into most multiplayer games and do all right and have a decent time. But even if I'm doing well in a Call of Duty game now, which is rare, but even if I do end up doing well, I just feel nothing. I'm just playing it and I feel nothing. At least there aren't loot boxes this year. Activision, they've jumped aboard the whole Battle Pass bandwagon that everyone's on right now. And that's all I've got to say about the multiplayer, because I don't care for it. I'm here to talk about the campaign, and the campaign is fine. It's alright. It's no Outer Worlds. It's fine. I mean, I sort of hated it too, to be honest, but it's not because it's bad. Like, it is perfectly serviceable. It looks really nice. The graphics are very nice. There's some really good sound design as well, like some more atmospheric moments where there are footsteps in a building rushing around upstairs, and you're like, oh, it's probably terrorists up there, or Russians, or whatever the bad people are this year. I don't know, I was barely paying attention, but then that's a big problem with these Call of Duty campaigns, is I sort of only half listen to what's going on because I stopped caring. Like, I'll play the first couple missions and I'll be like, right, I'm going to pay attention this year. I'm going to learn character names and work out what they're doing and why. And then about halfway through, I'm like, holy shit, I really don't care about anyone or anything in this game. I've been playing this for 4 hours and I just don't give a crap. I think it's because everyone and everything is so dour and po-faced, and it's just war crime after war crime. And 99% of the people are there to just react professionally to things, which, you know, fine. They're trying to go for gritty and realistic, fine. But when it's just hours and hours of people muttering "Stay Frosty" under their breath, or a guy saying, when the gloves come off your heads get dirty, now go threaten to shoot that kid, it's just exhausting. I find these campaigns, despite their brevity, emotionally draining. Because there are neither highs nor lows. There are some big explosive set pieces here and there that provide a temporary brief thrill, but emotionally, it just hits the one note and just stays on that note from beginning to end. And it's not a pleasant note. Now, I'm not saying they should be cracking jokes and getting wacky all the time. If you're telling a really dark and grim story about war, then levity probably isn't your priority. But when you're so relentlessly gritty, and all the characters are gritty, and the world is gritty, I just end up apathetic. It all just bleeds into itself to become this grit sludge. And it doesn't help that this one, maybe more than any other Call of Duty campaign, is going out of its way to try and shock you, to try and be provocative. And it's really not, because it settles so comfortably into the same old Call of Duty campaign routine Oh, here's the night vision bit. Oh, here's the flyy bit where you're looking through a camera and shooting with a gun. Oh, look, it's the flashback level. A game loses its shock value when the shock value is so integrated into the routine that it's expected. Oh, look, there's Captain Price, the only character anyone can remember. He's off to do something morally questionable again, like he did 5 minutes ago. The guns in the game are fine. There are quite a few of them, and you can mount them on walls or corners to peek round and shoot the same old enemies over and over again that are hard to make out in the background and the chaos and the detail of it all. With its name and in its marketing, Call of Duty Modern Warfare is trying to evoke the sort of evolutionary series change that we saw with Call of Duty War Modern Warfare, and it's not that. If anything, it feels like a big step back creatively, even though it looks all nice and technically it's certainly a step forward. When you compare it to things like even Infinite Warfare, was that the one that had Jon Snow in it? The one that was all spacey, not the one with Kevin Spacey in it, that one's not aged well. I mean the one that was set in and around space. I think it was space, I can't remember. All these games are the same to me now, but some of them at least had a little bit of a thematic change, a little bit of a locale change, and some features. You know, like there was one of them that had a bit of a strategy thing going on with it, although it was still mostly shooting. But you know, they've tried incrementally to add new features to an old and tired system, an old and tired structure, and this one kind of strips that away to go back to basics, which I'm sure some people might like. But back to basics is just more Call of Duty, and this is a game that comes out every single year, so just more Call of Duty isn't all that exciting. I don't know, all I know is I played this campaign from beginning to end yesterday, and I resented it more and more. And maybe that's on me. Maybe I shouldn't have played it all in one go. But I knew if I'd stopped playing it, if I were to stop playing it, I'd never pick it up again. So I'm like, might as well get on with it. Which is pretty much how I play every Call of Duty campaign. And some of them I end up going through and thinking, you know what, that was alright. And some of them I'm like, thank God the credits have started rolling. Now I'm done. And I can go back to playing The Outer Worlds, which is a better game. And that might not have helped, you know, being spoiled by playing a game like The Outer Worlds. So, you know, have you played Sea Salt? There's a good game. Sea Salt. I did do a video on Sea Salt itself, but no one would watch that, but I've got you fuckers now. Sea Salt is on, like, PC, I think, and on Switch, definitely. And you play basically as Dagon. And you control the forces of the Lovecraftian god Dagon, and you can control little swarms of things. A bit like that Devolver Digital game that's set in like Greece or whatever, where you control a crowd of people, and other games where you do that. There are quite a few games where you do that. But you move a cursor and these little eldritch monstrosities follow it, and they surround villagers and those who won't pay you tribute and tear them to pieces. And you've got to move the swarms around to avoid attacks, you know, gunfire or Molotovs thrown your way. It's quite fun. Got a real nice atmosphere to it, nice visual style. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. It's nice to play one of these sort of Lovecraft-inspired games where you're on the other side. You're not playing the... You know, you're not playing the humans losing their minds. You are the mind-shattering monstrosities coming out of the ocean. So Sea Salt's quite good. Chances are good very few of you watched my Children of Mortar video. So Children of Mortar is one of my Game of the Year contenders. That came out fairly recently as well. That's a sort of dungeon crawly hack and slash roguelike game with a really nice story about family. I've really loved that one. That one is visually gorgeous, utterly gorgeous, with some great gameplay and a real rewarding sense of progression that I feel many people would enjoy. I've not played Medieval yet, the remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, that came out. I did play the demo. I was surprised at how faithful they were to the original, considering the original was a PlayStation 1 game and therefore quite clunky, and that the demo felt clunky, but I'll get back to playing that. Are there any other good games? Dandy Dungeon. by Onion Games. I'm a big lover of Onion Games' work. Dandy Dungeon's quite good. So you can play that as well. I just thought I'd get some indie recommendations. I know Medieval isn't an indie game, but I thought I'd get some indie recommendations out the way in a video that more people might actually bother watching. So that's something for you. I don't know what you want from me on this one. I don't know if people want me to love this one. When I mentioned it on Twitter and I mentioned my hesitance to stop playing The Outer Worlds to play this, I specifically said every silver lining has a cloud. Some people were like, oh, it's fantastic, actually. It's really good. And like I said, like on a technical, fundamental level, it's all good. Like, it's well made. It's a very well made game that I just sort of despise. So take that for what it's worth. Probably not worth much to you. Everything works as it should. It's, you know, it doesn't crash. I didn't see any bugs with it. The gunfire is all fine. You know, you still die after 3 shots and it can get annoying, but, you know, it just adds to the overall tiredness you feel of the game, and it's bullshit after a while. I don't know. It's Call of Duty. You know, they tried to pump all the branding up on it, but it's Call of Duty. Ugh.